A little bit of both, but I'd say more Netflix. Yeah.
In the scorching heat of Manila, the young girl gripped her racket with hands that already knew the weight of dreams larger than the court itself. Alexandra Eala stood on cracked concrete where every bounce of the ball carried the hopes of a nation hungry for a champion who could rise from the islands and conquer the world. From the first swing she felt the fire. That fire would one day ignite a deal so massive it shook the foundations of tennis and entertainment alike. The $13.5 million Netflix empire was not just money. It was validation. It was the moment a Filipina tennis prodigy became a global force whose story demanded to be told in 7 episodes of pure unfiltered power. She was born into a family that understood sacrifice. Early mornings meant drills before school, late nights meant analyzing matches on a flickering screen while her mother prepared meals that fueled both body and spirit. Coaches saw the spark. Opponents felt the pressure, rankings climbed. Victory stacked. Yet every triumph carried the quiet burden of representing more than herself. The Philippines watched. Asia watched. And soon the world began to notice the girl who turned pressure into propulsion. Tournaments became battlegrounds. Grand Slam qualifiers tested her resolve. Injuries threatened to slow her, but she adapted. Mental toughness became her secret weapon. When the crowd roared, she fed on the energy. When silence fell, she created her own. Sponsors arrived. Endorsements followed. Still, the real empire waited in the shadows of boardrooms where Netflix executives pored over footage of her fiercest matches and most vulnerable moments. The pitch was simple yet explosive. A documentary series that would follow her from the dusty courts of her childhood to the brightest stages of professional tennis. Cameras would capture the sweat, the tears, the breakthroughs, and the quiet nights when doubt whispered. The offer landed like a thunderclap. $13.5 million. 7 episodes. Full creative control shared with her team. Global distribution. A platform that could turn her journey into inspiration for millions of young athletes, especially girls who saw themselves in her determination. Negotiations stretched across time zones. Lawyers reviewed every clause. Her family weighed the exposure against the opportunity. She sat in meetings listening more than speaking, knowing that this deal would redefine her career beyond the baseline. When the final signature dried, the announcement exploded across social media. Fans celebrated. Critics questioned. Tennis insiders debated whether a rising star deserved such a spotlight so early. Yet the numbers spoke louder. Viewership projections soared. Merchandising potential multiplied. The empire began to form. Her production started almost immediately. Crews followed her through training camps in Europe and Asia. They filmed the brutal physical sessions where her body screamed for rest yet her mind refused to yield. They recorded the strategic talks with coaches who dissected every opponent. Personal moments slipped in too. Conversations with her parents about the cost of chasing greatness. Late-night reflections on the loneliness of the road. The cameras never blinked, and neither did she. Episode 1 would open with her earliest memories of holding a racket too big for her hands. Episode 2 would dive into the breakthrough wins that put her on the map. Later chapters would explore the mental battles, the ranking climbs, the cultural weight of carrying national pride. The final installment promised a look toward the future where Grand Slam titles and Olympic medals hovered like distant horizons still within reach. Behind the scenes, the deal unlocked new doors. Training facilities upgraded. Support staff expanded. Travel became seamless. Yet the real transformation was internal. Knowing that her story would reach living rooms across continents fueled a deeper purpose. Every practice became content. Every match became narrative. She played not only for points but for the legacy the series would cement. Challenges arose, of course. Media scrutiny intensified. Rivals used the attention as motivation against her. Balancing the demands of filming with the relentless tournament schedule tested her limits. There were days when the lights felt heavier than the racket. Moments when she wondered if the empire was building her or consuming her. Still, she pressed forward, driven by the same fire that first sparked on those Manila courts. As production progressed, early footage leaked, creating even more buzz. Clips of her crushing winners mixed with soft-spoken interviews about identity and ambition. Viewers connected. Young fans wrote letters. Aspiring players cited her as proof that talent from unexpected places could rewrite the rules. The $13.5 million was already paying dividends far beyond the bank account. The series title itself became a rallying cry. Eala: The Rise. Or in the more dramatic framing that captured public imagination, Eala: the $13.5 million Netflix empire. Either way, the message was clear. In the end, the empire was never solely about the money. It was about ownership of narrative. About a young athlete seizing the chance to define her own legend while the world watched. About turning personal struggle into universal inspiration. About proving that the next great sports documentary did not need to wait for retirement or historical distance. It could arrive in the heat of the climb itself. Eala stepped into that light with the same focus she brought to match point. The racket still felt natural in her hands. The court still called. And now the screens of millions would carry her story forward, amplifying every future victory and every hard-fought lesson. The $13.5 million Netflix empire had begun, and its foundation rested on the unbreakable will of a girl who once practiced on cracked concrete, dreaming of something far greater. The cameras kept rolling long after the official shoot wrapped. Life continued. Matches continued. Growth continued. The series would freeze a moment in time, but the champion kept evolving. That evolution became the true lasting value of the deal. Not the dollars. Not the episodes. But the amplified platform that allowed one determined athlete to show an entire generation what focused ambition could achieve when opportunity finally matched preparation. From the humid courts of her youth to the polished stages of global tennis, and now to the streaming libraries of the world, the path remained hers to walk. The empire stood as both reward and responsibility. She accepted both with the quiet intensity that defined her game. Every future chapter would build on this foundation. Every new ranking. Every new title. Every new young player inspired by the story now preserved in 7 powerful episodes. The deal closed a chapter of pure potential and opened one of realized influence. Eala, the tennis player, became Eala, the storyteller of her own rise. The $13.5 million ensured the production matched the scale of the journey. The content ensured the journey reached hearts far beyond the baseline. And the legacy ensured that long after the final credits rolled, the impact would continue to ripple through the sport and the culture that had waited so long for a champion of its own. In the end, the most powerful element was never the contract figure or the platform prestige. It was the authenticity that no amount of money could manufacture. The genuine sweat. The real setbacks. The authentic joy of progress. That authenticity turned a business deal into cultural moment. That authenticity transformed a documentary series into a movement. And that authenticity ensured that Eala, the 13.5 million Netflix empire, would be remembered not as hype but as history in the making. The story continues on every court she steps onto. The cameras may have finished their primary work, but the narrative lives in every point played, every challenge overcome, and every dream ignited in the minds of those who watched and believed. The empire endures because the foundation was never financial alone. It was human. It was earned. It was hers.